It's the last place anybody will catch me at. Hello everybody, Sparkster1701 here, and today we're going to take a look at a combiner component. It's been a while since we've done a combiner component, so let's take a look at who is possibly the rarest of the component pieces to find. The 1988 Decepticon Underwater Excavations Unit, Nautilator. Nautilator is part of the Seacon team, and he would be released in 1988, and he would only be available for that year, being discontinued in 1989, and we did not get a replacement for him. Now, I say that Nautilator is the rarest of the component pieces, and there's a reason behind that. Nautilator was not included in the eventual gift set that was released for Piranhacon here in the United States, and possibly in a few other countries as well. Nautilator would only be available on card. So that alone makes Nautilator the rarest of the combiner components. Let's take a close-up look at Nautilator here and get an idea of his articulation. Unfortunately, like a fair amount of them, it's limited to his arms. So basically, you can rotate him at the shoulder just slightly under 180 degrees. So it's kind of like 181 degrees. Your arm goes straight down. This piece down here kind of blocks it from going any further back. And the lobster legs kind of prevent him from going much further than that. So basically he can yell out a charge. Or if we take his gun out, he can go, "I surrender." And that's about it. So unfortunately, not too much in the form of articulation for him. Moving right along, we'll go ahead and transform Nautilator. Like all the small component pieces, it's pretty basic. You would first start by lowering his arms. You take his lobster legs and fold them up against his arms. We'll raise him, rotate his head back, and fold the claws down. Snap his head into place. And lastly, fold his legs up all the way, and then push them snug against his body. And there you have his alternate mode, a lobster. Kind of the ugliest looking lobster you've ever seen, especially in these colors. As articulation goes, he doesn't have much in this form. I mean, you can rotate the claws a little bit, so you can at least get him in some battle poses. His legs are all done up as one unit, so they don't move much. So it's kind of a shame, especially when compared to some of the deluxe Insecticons, but as he's a combiner component, he's meant to be pretty cheap. Now, he does have an attack mode, like many of them. The one the instructions give lists having you reach down here, open this piece at about where his mouth would be, and then you just stick the gun in there. And there you go, he's got a forward cannon to use in place of the claws, which looks kind of good. He can shoot an Autobot in the kneecap or something. But there is another one that fans kind of like to do with him. Close that up. Many of them like to raise his leg section up just a bit, and then you stick his gun in there. Now, he can either shoot one in the chest or head, or he can shoot down aerial bots. which is kind of neat. It's different, to say the least. But this also leads into his third mode, as all the Seacons, save for their leader Snaptrap, could be converted into a weapon. To do that, on Nautilator, you fold out his legs all the way. You'll reach down here and pull out this tab. Then you'd stick the gun into his legs like so. Push him aside for a moment. You bring in these other pieces. You got a flat base. You just take the rifle stand, wedge it in like that. Wedge in the connector piece up here at the top. And then you mount Nautilator in there. And there you go. He's a weapon. Supposedly, in this mode, he is a heat-seeking torpedo cannon. Now, of course, in this mode, removing him from the stand, he could also be used by the combined unit Piranacon as a weapon. Instead of being a limb, he can be a gun. So it's nice versatility that they gave to Piranacon here at the end of the Transformers toy line. Moving right along now, let's take a look at the loose parts Nautilator came with, and unlike previous combiner components, he does have quite a few pieces. We'll start with these three here in the front, as all of his buddies, save for Snaptrap, came with them. That means if you get Overbite, Sea-Wing, Scalor, or Tentakill, they would come with these three black pieces here in the front. Start off with the stand. This is the stand base. It looks like it would be a foot unit for a combiner. Instead of having a post, it has a hole in it, so it is not used as a foot. And on the back side, it's hollow and empty here. And you have what is affectionately known as the tripod rifle. Post down here at the bottom connects into there, and of course this connects to the connector piece. Why it has two more on the sides here, I will never know. I mean, unless they want one of the larger guys to hold it sideways. As you can imagine, the way that looks, it looks kind of dumb. But with the small post on the bottom, it can be held by Nautilator as an extra weapon. Looks a little oversized in his hands. Especially given how he's depicted in the media. That's probably not a good thing, but again, to each their own, collectors. And then lastly, you have this connector piece. It's got the square connector here on the top, and at the bottom there's a little hole to mount onto the tripod. As you can imagine, since the other combiner components for Piranacon come with these, except Snaptrap, these are pretty common to find. These three here in the back aren't as easy. We'll start here with Nautilator's gun. This is his triple crusher cannon. As you can see, it's got three-barrel design here in the front. Other than that, and of course, there's the post here on the back for mounting it on his alternate modes. But other than that, it's pretty much just a big blocky weapon. And lastly, what's more commonly missing on loose Nautilators are his lobster claws. He and Overbite both have removable sets of claws. So it's something to keep in mind. It kind of offsets them because the two of them have removable claws, but they come with one gun. Skalor, Tentakill, and Seawing have no removable parts on their robot modes, but they come with two guns. Easy thing to remember. On the backside, they're just hollow here on the claws, so definitely you want to get one set of each. You want to get one of each. One's a right claw, one's a left claw. For your viewing pleasure, fans, we'll give you the two-gun look version of Nautilator here. Make him stand out a little bit more. Alright, that's enough of that. Moving right along, we'll go on to his instructions. I have his American card backer here. As you can see, he would have had all the components and himself in here. And unfortunately, the previous owner cut off the robot points. But I can tell you from another set that's nearby here, he was worth half a point. Look around here on the back side. Barcode was up at the top, and you can see the other Seacons here. And then we get down here, you can see all the stuff he came with. How to make him the one attack mode. The other one's something that fans do. And they show here how to transform him into the robot. The thing they omit is adjusting the claws to make the legs go back easier. I find it easier to move the legs back if the claws are either shifted into a different position so they go between the lobster legs, or remove the claws altogether. Otherwise, you end up with him standing here like that. Which looks a little bit better, but also looks like when a peacock spreads out their tail feathers. It's more for impression, not for anything else. Now, peacock's case is also to attract the ladies, but I don't think Nautilator's got a chance on that. And then they put it here as next to that thing is the stand-up weapon, as they call it. It's also referred to in some media as a target master weapon. And then lastly, how to put on the stickers. Clip the robot points, which the previous owner did. And how to read his specs. So we'll go down to the specs straight away. It's all done in purple to indicate he's a Decepticon. And the picture of him matches the one here on the front of the package. It gives his name as Nautilator. His function is underwater excavations. And his motto is, blame someone else before they blame you. A stumbling, bumbling, amphibious foul-up. Often gets caught in the undertow and has to be hauled out by his fellow Seacons. Quick to blame others for his mistakes. Equipped with geological sensors that register underwater fuel deposits. Armed with triple crusher cannon that shoots energon bands, which trap their target and then tighten until the target has been reduced to rubble. Nautilator transforms to heat-seeking torpedo cannon in weapons mode. Combines with fellow Seacons to form Piranhacon. And now we'll take the decoder and lay it over the grid so we can get a look at his vital stats. It gives his strength as 7, his intelligence is 4, his speed is 3, his endurance is 8, his rank is 5, his courage is 6, his firepower is 7, and his skill is 4. So he's rather strong and can go for a while. Pretty courageous and has a lot of firepower. But he's weak, but he's slow and stupid. That's his biggest problems. And as I said, as a bonus, I have another card backer here. Well, it's not as easy to notice things from the front. This is a European card backer, which we will turn to the back side. This card backer, like all the others that I do have a complete set of the Seacon card backers like this. We imported them from the Netherlands, I believe it was. Yeah, Netherlands. Got these from the Netherlands, folks. So, look forward to that when we cover any of the other Seacons, except Snaptrap, because he was sold in a box, and I don't have a box from there. But you can take a look at the tech spec. Now, I know you've seen some of my other tech specs where I showed off a foreign-issued spec like this. Originally, there were some that had 4 languages in here, so they could not put in the background data on the character. At the time, Hasbro was kind of haphazard in how they released the toys regionally in Europe. So they ended up with having them in quad language, which, while they were impressive to look at from a collector's point of view, it also took away the bios in order to make room. So you really didn't get to learn anything about the character. All you got was what his function was, and his personal motto. And in a lot of cases, that tells you very little. And then over here you see where they got the same style of grid. And the stats more or less are the same over here. So no matter what part of the world you were in, Nautilator is somewhat on the powerful side, but slow and stupid. Now we get down to what do I think of him. Nautilator is a character that is based on an overdone trope in a lot of these lines where you have multiple characters. He's the bumbling idiot, the foul-up that always gets in the way. It's made worse on Nautilator for the fact that while he knows he's the problem, he'd rather blame everybody else. And that's an overdone trope that gets old fast. So in a lot of ways, you could almost say he's the Barney Fife of the Seacons, and probably the Decepticons in general. If you don't know who that is, folks, consider yourself fortunate. As a toy, though, Nautilator fits in well with the Seacons. His function is rather unique, not only amongst the Seacons, but among the Decepticons as a whole. So that does help give him a little more character and usefulness in the group. I'm going to put him about in the middle tier, just a few shades above being at the bottom tier, due to the fact that his uselessness is often made fun of in a lot of the other media. In fact, his non-inclusion in the gift set is somewhat poked fun at for Piranhacon's entry in the More Than Meets the Eye series of books. It's mentioned in there that the other Seacons refuse to allow Nautilator to combine and be part of Piranhacon. They prefer to have him as the weapon. That way his low intelligence will not affect the combined unit in the slightest. So that tells you that whoever forms the gun of Piranhacon, they have zero input on what the giant robot does. So more often than not, Nautilator gets shafted as the gun. And in that case, that's probably about the only thing he's really good for. Being the one that gets pointed in a direction and gets his trigger squeezed. Take that as you may. And that concludes my review of the Generation 1 Decepticon Underwater Excavations Unit Nautilator. If you like the video, thumbs up it here on YouTube. Hit the subscribe button down below if you haven't already. Like this video, share your thoughts in the comments below, and also share this video with fellow collectors. That keeps this channel going. This is Sparkster1701 saying I will catch you all later.